he is an incredibly driven, he's probably the most driven guy I think I've ever met. And that says something, because I'm a bit single-minded at times.
Oh, he had a F1, right?
Yeah,
yes, he did. He had an
right.
F1. That's right, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree. You know, the clever thing for me, or the brave thing rather than clever for me, was there weren't startups in those days in high-volume car manufacturing. And then to be a startup with a brand-new powertrain, I mean, you know.
No infrastructure.
Yeah, so whatever you think of what he's doing, you have to admire the man.
Yeah, sure. Mate?
Yeah, I also met Elon a couple of times, and I guess that, you know, probably we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him, because he proved the model of startups in the auto industry. Well, I started a company before he took over Tesla, so I still remember Martin Eberhard and all that. I was following it from day one, and when Tesla stocks were like, you know, $20 flat for a very long time. And he gets lots of heat and criticism, especially from, like, you know, also sometimes very silly things, that he's just an investor, he's, you know, that other people are doing all the work and so on. But I know how car companies work, also big ones, as we are working with many of them, behind the scenes. And, you know, the one thing that's different in Tesla than everybody else is Elon. Just Elon and what he is doing and how he's running the business and the bold visions and also then execution. You know, I went into a lot of detail with him. He understands, you know, what's unique about Elon. He has this big global picture, you know, humanity, planetary level picture, you know, making life multiplanetary, but can also drill very much into the details like very few other people. And knowing what's going on behind the scenes of the auto industry, I would, you know, bet everything I have that it wouldn't be happening right now if it wasn't for Elon and for Tesla. What everybody's doing now is a pure consequence of Tesla, nothing else. So this is full electrification. And in the last few years, it has really changed, you know.
According to a survey by market intelligence firm Caliber, the number of would-be Tesla buyers in the United States is shrinking, and this drop has been attributed, in part, to Tesla's CEO Elon Musk's polarizing persona. But what do industry experts and seasoned investors have to say about this? Let's find out. But before we do that, if you want to keep up with Tesla's latest updates, as well as other large caps, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. Now, back to today's video.
What everybody's doing now is a pure consequence of Tesla, nothing else. So this is full electrification. And in the last few years, it has really changed. You know, in like 5-6 years ago, it was still like, you know, they have bad panel gaps. They don't make good cars.
They still have bad panel gaps.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But that's like, you know, all the big car companies, they were making, you know, like ridiculing Tesla and looking from above. And
it was a winning trick to fool them. They were not serious.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone waited
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit.
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. They were fooling. And nobody was believing it's a serious thing. And then now everybody's chasing after Tesla. Everybody. And they are really all in. And all the big companies are really going into electrification. And I know for a fact it wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for Elon Musk and Tesla. And then so many other things that are inspirational, like, you know, reusable rockets, flying to Mars, all of that stuff.
That was Gordon Murray, the CEO of Gordon Murray Automotive, and Mate Rimac, the CEO of Rimac Group, which controls Bugatti, talking about Elon Musk and his impact on the auto industry. It's good to see big names in the industry paying tribute where it's due, especially during a time when Tesla is facing many challenges. In Q1, Tesla reported global deliveries of 386,810 vehicles, which was less than what many analysts had been expecting. Despite this, these deliveries helped Tesla take back its battery electric vehicle crown from its main competitor BYD, as the Chinese company sold just a bit over 300,000 EVs in Q1, which wasn't enough for it to maintain its lead over Tesla. Still, many mainstream media outlets have taken the opportunity to blame Elon for Tesla missing its targets, forgetting everything that he's done for the company and the industry as a whole. Tesla basically forced automakers to start making electric vehicles simply by making great products that made consumers feel like they needed to own them and showed everyone what electric vehicles can really do. In reality, all other automakers had to make a choice: either start producing EVs like Tesla or go bankrupt. Imagine if there was no Tesla, no other car company would have actually produced EVs at such a large scale.
I mean, if anyone proves you can do anything and multiply it kind of next to each other simultaneously, it's Elon, right? And of course, he's a character. He's a human being. I mean, what he did to the car industry, he just shook it up completely. He also started, he started a little bit later than I did. Actually, 2007 or 2008, Koenigsegg was a bigger company than Tesla, which is kind of, what did we do since then, comparatively? But he started out when you were not allowed to start in the car industry. It was not an allowing industry. It's not that it's super allowing now, but now it's kind of a thing to see startups. When I started in 1994, people were laughing in my face and said the supercar is dead and this and that. But of course, he did that on a completely different level against the whole automotive industry with an electric car that no one asked for. And as I said to maybe during this talk or before that, a few years ago, people said there is no electric car, it's never going to happen. Now it's the only thing. And without Elon and Tesla, that would never happen. I think that's a good thing for the planet and for us, and not only for the automotive industry.
This was Christian von Koenigsegg, the CEO of Koenigsegg. So you see how CEOs of other massive automotive companies feel about Elon and Tesla. You can't deny his impact or Tesla's amazing technological advancements that are set to shake up the automotive industry once more. And one such technology is Tesla's FSD. Remember when Elon said that Tesla will have its ChatGPT moment with FSD? We think that moment is close at hand. As we all know, Elon told Tesla employees around a week ago that it would be mandatory for them to install and activate the newest FSD software in new Tesla vehicles to take customers on a short test ride before handing over the car. He also announced a 1-month free trial of FSD for all Tesla users in the US, and this showed his confidence on how far the technology has come, but some data recently came out that shows how impressive FSD really is. Elias Martinez, who has been tracking FSD disengagements for some time, had some interesting things to say about the latest version. He said that the results were the most mind-blowing thing he's seen for data on FSD in more than 2 years, and that after driving more than 500 miles on the 12.3 version, the data showed that all of his persistent disengagements have been resolved. While this doesn't mean that there are no disengagements, it shows that the current issues that FSD faces are unique issues and are not persistent, which means that the technology is evolving very quickly. Not only that, but Tesla's head of autopilot engineering, Ashok Ellaswamy, said on X that we should expect Tesla's auto parking to be faster over the next few releases, as some say it's a bit too slow now. Tesla has been pursuing FSD technology for years, and while it's not perfect yet, the company seems to have gotten closer to perfecting it based on its optimism on version 12.3. Elon Musk has been pushing this version publicly, proving that Tesla has begun marketing FSD's capabilities more aggressively. This improvement in Tesla's FSD technology once again proves the automaker's commitment to changing the automotive industry, as well as Musk's dedication to leading this course. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Investocracy.
And really change the industry completely.
The more he fails, the more he succeeds.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
I love his courage, and I'm proud that he's a fellow Texan now.
I was going to say,
Just lives up the road in Austin.
Yeah.
Met him at Geneva many years ago, asked him a question, and he gave me an answer that was way over my head. But again, just like what all you guys said, would the OEMs and the governments and the world now be saying we're going, full EV or whatever if it wasn't for this guy getting the ball rolling and having kind of that inflection point, And I think, again, we could go back and forth as far as the virtues of electrification, but one of the things I think is most interesting is just the from a design standpoint, you have this whole new architecture where you don't have this lump of engine and driveline in the middle of the car that all of a sudden you can do some really cool things. So again, whether it's Tesla, SpaceX, now Twitter, I love that he's a free speech, libertarian kind of guy. he's human, and you know, he fails like we all fail. And when he fails, it's pretty, you know, it's obviously it's in the public eye. But just think of just the value, the jobs that he's created, the technology that he's created, all the other OEMs trying to play catch up with them. And again, I'm joking. I've got a Tesla Plaid, and it's got crappy panel gaps, but the technology really works, and it's fast, and the charging network really works well. So I just, as an entrepreneur, I have huge admiration for this guy is like, he's the king of the double down. Like, you know, you have to literally bury the guy in a hole or something to stop him from doing whatever he's trying to do. You don't know how he's going to get there. He may not know how he's going to get there, but
and you know, people criticizing him and also accusing him now to do whatever, Twitter, just to make money and so on. He's so much beyond that point that people don't realize he's worth billions and billions, hundreds of billions. And people look from their perspective, and 99% of the people would long time ago, throw in the towel, I made it, enjoy their life. He is crushing himself to move forward on all these fronts and exposing himself to hatred of so many people and to...
We've already established that Tesla is at the forefront of the self-driving revolution, but as Tesla's AI technologies get better, the company's vehicles will continue getting smarter. Elon Musk wants Tesla's FSD system to be able to handle very complex scenarios one day, like navigating busy city streets, avoiding obstacles, following traffic rules and customs, and even communicating with other drivers and pedestrians. And FSD can reach that level, especially as Tesla continues to gather data from the vehicles it has on the road to use for training the software. This is why Tesla is building its own supercomputer, Dojo, which Tesla plans to use to improve the labeling of data and the speed of training the network in order to feed it data more efficiently. This will allow Tesla to make each generation of the inference engine much faster and lead to a faster rate of improvement in FSD. Once Tesla perfects FSD, all other automakers will jump on the bandwagon as well, kicking off Tesla's ChatGPT moment and completely transforming the industry and how AI is used in vehicles. Before we continue, if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on everything happening with Tesla.
Tesla is falling on Tuesday's session after its deliveries missed estimates by a pretty sizable margin. The EV maker delivered roughly 387,000 units in its first quarter, down sizably from the 457,000 units expected and down about 9% year over year. Tesla also disclosed it produced around 433,000 units. That was down about 20,000 below expectations. The company said the drop in volume was a result of its manufacturing ramp of its updated Model 3, as well as the Red Sea conflict and the arson attack at its Berlin Gigafactory. However, Tesla did deploy around 4,000 megawatt hours of energy storage in its first quarter. Tesla also stole the crown back from its biggest competition overseas, BYD, selling about 28% more EVs comparatively. That means Tesla is now back on top as the largest battery electric vehicle manufacturer in the world.
Our next guest says, well, it wasn't a good quarter. I want to get to Dan Ives and everything he's got to say. Of course, longtime bull on the stock from Wedbush Securities, Managing Director of Equity Research. Dan, I'm reading your report, which you wrote very quickly. Let's call it as it is. While we were anticipating a bad quarter, this was an unmitigated disaster. First quarter deliveries was a nightmare quarter for Tesla, you wrote. Elon is now pressured by the street, and China demand remains very soft. And you also say, in this case, street criticism is warranted. But then I end, and you still have an outperform rating, and I wonder why.
Hey, look, I mean, for the long term, in terms of the actual opportunity for EV, for full self-driving, for autonomous, that's still there. But let's just call it like it is. This is no smoke and mirror. I mean, if you looked up train wreck in the dictionary, you'd see a picture of Tesla's 1Q quarter. And, I think the big problem is deliveries. How do you reverse the trend? And that's why I believe this is a fork in the road. In other words, Musk either turns this around, whether it's cutting prices, put the strategy in place, or David, I think we sit here maybe 3-4 quarters from now, and this is actually a seminal moment and the start of what could be some darker days ahead if they do not turn this around.
All right, but what does the turnaround look like? You say cutting prices. Clearly, they're facing more competition from Chinese EV makers, not just in the domestic Chinese market. So what do you do if you're Tesla?
I think you have to lay out the strategy. Okay, what are price cuts going to look like? When are the new models coming? What could software be as a percent of revenue? What's the AI roadmap? Right now, it's essentially playing darts blindfolded. You don't really have an adult in the room. The conference calls, as we've talked about here, have really been horror shows. So investors, they're hoping in terms of that, what's on the other side of this. Now, in terms of the growth, the opportunity, $30 billion in cash, they're in a phenomenal position from that perspective. But I'd say probably this is what I'd say in the last 5 years, probably the darkest period relative to what we're seeing in China. And this quarter, exclamation mark.
All right, but you talk about, the hope of investors. You still clearly have hope as well. So what do you base your hope on? You've been, the last 2 minutes here, you've been quite negative.
Mm-hmm. It's that we're 3-4% of automobiles are EVs. Is that full self-driving autonomous? You could argue that could be $1 trillion worth of value from a software perspective. The China story, you've seen the price cuts start to stabilize. They had a good week of the last quarter. So there are some optimism, and I still believe you could be toward 2 million units for the year. But this quarter, there's just no way to sort of glass half full it. This is one where even whisper numbers call it 415K. 386, a disaster.
So is it supply or demand? Because we expected some production setbacks in the first quarter.
I think supply would be dog ate the homework. Maybe call it 30K. You could explain that in a press release. But realistically, it's demand. And I think the problem here, Sarah, is that, okay, you're either going to cut prices or ultimately, you're going to hold serve and then focus on what you could actually do, but hold margins and where volumes could go. The problem is that you can't just put one toe in the water. In other words, what's the strategy? How are you going to reverse?
And do you know?
Tesla stock fell by around 7% thanks to deliveries missing their target, and analysts at Wedbush even called these deliveries a disaster. Despite this, the firm remains bullish on Tesla's long-term story, saying that there's a chance that Elon could turn everything around and that there's massive potential for the growth of FSD and the company's EV business. Meanwhile, Garrett Nelson, a senior equity analyst at CFRA Research, said that the year-to-date decline in price of Tesla stock was overdue after it more than doubled last year, and that more bearish expectations related to Tesla's growth are now priced in, presenting a buying opportunity. So, FSD seems to be Tesla's most important catalyst right now, and it's why many institutional investors remain bullish on the company. Tesla also has a lot of potential when it comes to production. Elon said before that he wants Tesla to produce 20 million cars by 2030, but to achieve this goal, Tesla needs to pull off a few things first. Tesla needs to introduce more types of vehicles, and even Elon has said that the 20 million EVs goal can be reached with 10 vehicle models. Tesla needs to ramp up production of its Cybertruck and work on delivering the new vehicles like the Roadster in 2025. Many Tesla competitors, like BYD, are coming out with extremely affordable EVs, so Tesla also needs to deliver its new affordable $25,000 vehicle on time and commit to starting its production next year. At that price point, a significant portion of the US population could afford a Tesla, same as in many places around the world. So, demand shouldn't be a problem for Tesla. Similarly, the company will need to build more production facilities, or gigafactories, to reach its 20 million goal. The good thing is that Tesla is already investing a lot of money in expansions. We all know that it's building a gigafactory in Mexico that's expected to be ready for vehicle production in 2026, and it's also expanding its Nevada gigafactory to boost the production of its semi-vehicles and build battery cells. Speaking of batteries, Tesla also recognizes the importance of having high-quality materials for its batteries, so it's building a lithium refinery in Texas, which is expected to produce 50 gigawatt-hours of battery-grade lithium per year once completed. No doubt, 20 million cars by 2030 seems like an impossible goal, but for Elon, it's more of an aspirational goal than a hard and fast number, so while Tesla might not be able to deliver on this, it can still deliver on its short-term goals, like selling 2 million cars by the end of this year. Time will tell how Tesla does it, and it will be interesting to see. Of course, Elon Musk will be stirring the ship back to success, and if anyone can do it, it's him. So, we can say that even in the case of a pullback in the stock price, it should only serve as a nice window of opportunity to acquire the stock, especially considering that Tesla's business continues to expand at a rapid rate. And despite the market challenges, Tesla is still making waves in the industry, unlike most of its competitors and other EV startups who are struggling to keep their heads above the water. What are your thoughts on Tesla's latest achievements with FSD? Let us know in the comment section. If you would like to know more latest updates about Tesla and the EV market, then go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.